Sea of Thieves has a very large and expansive world, and within this world there are four main regions in the game: the Ancient Isles, the Shores of Plenty, the Wilds, and the Devil's Roar. So today I'm going to be ranking each region from worst to best. There's also three smaller regions in the world, and those are the Shores of Gold, Monkey Island, and the Sea of the Damned, but all of those are Tall Tale exclusive, so I'm not going to be counting those. I'm only going to be ranking the four main regions. The reason being for that is all the Tall Tale exclusive areas would be at the bottom of the list, some of the worst, because all that's really there is to do Tall Tales. The only exception to that would be the Pirates of the Caribbean Tall Tale checkpoint. That one checkpoint you get a bunch of supplies from, but I don't really want to count that, so I'm only going to be doing the main four regions in the game. So this is all going to be my personal opinion, but I think my opinions kind of represent the general consensus as to what I've gathered from the community. But yeah, like I said, this is my opinion, so let's get right into it. Coming in at number 4, dead last, to nobody's surprise, is the Devil's Roar. I hate the Devil's Roar, you hate the Devil's Roar, even Rare hates the Devil's Roar. So what makes it so bad? Well, first off, if this isn't a big enough indicator why it's so bad, it's the only region you can't spawn in. That's how bad it is. You can literally die spawning in on the outpost. Why is that? Because of the volcanoes. The volcanoes that erupt, they'll set your ship on fire, they'll explode, they'll kill you. Doing anything in this region is just a pain. There's really no reason to go over there. The Ashen Voyages used to be kind of cool, I guess, and they still give you a little bit more loot than regular voyages, but it's just not worth going over there. The time it takes to do anything over there is too long. It's just such a spread out region. So like sailing from island to island in the Devil's Roar takes a long time. And sailing to there takes a long time depending on where you spawn in. It's on the far east side of the map. It's just annoying to get there, annoying to be there. And like I said, there used to be kind of a reason to go there when some of the Ashen Voyages were cool to do, but nowadays there's nothing to do there. Nothing that makes it worth being there, and it's just a risk. The only thing I ever see people go in the Devil's Roar to do is to run away from people trying to fight them. And that's another negative, because the game's called Sea of Thieves, guys. It's a PvP game. If you're running from fights, go play Safer Seas or something. So the Devil's Roar really serves no purpose. I hope one day maybe they update it and give you a reason to actually go there, but as of right now, just avoid it. There's nothing to do there, nothing important. Unless you really, really, really like doing Ashen Voyages. I don't know who that would be, but yeah, Devil's Roar is number 4 on the list. So aside from the Devil's Roar, there's no really terrible region. So number 3, I'm going to put the Ancient Isles. So the Ancient Isles to me is very similar to the Shores of Plenty, but I think it's a little bit worse. So the reason I think the Ancient Isles is the worst region, that's not the Devil's Roar. Not saying it's bad, but the Devil's Roar is terrible. The other 3 are okay. But yeah, back to what I was saying. The reason I put the Ancient Isles at 3 is it's the biggest region. I did not know that until researching for this video, but yeah, the Ancient Isles is actually the biggest region. So yeah, the Ancient Isles are huge, but there's a lot of stuff to do. But Ancient Spire Outpost is one of the 2 outposts there. I hate Ancient Spire Outpost. It's my least favorite outpost in the game, especially since you spawn at the top of the mountain on the tavern. I know now that in Season 12 that's fixed, but still, it's just still kind of annoying spawning all the way up there. And there's not a whole lot going on over there. So there's the Fort of the Damned, which is cool. I guess that's technically part of the Ancient Isles. It's the closest region to it on the map, so I'm going to count the Fort of the Damned as part of the Ancient Isles, but other than that, it's just kind of a boring region. It's very similar to the Shores of Gold aesthetically, but it has kind of like a more old, beat-down aesthetic, which is nice. One of the things I like is the 2 fortresses at the bottom of the map, Ancient Gold Fortress and Old Brimstone Fortress. When I grinded Sea Forts, you kind of go back and forth between the 2, and that's really easy to do. It's kind of fun, but it's just kind of out of the way, especially if you're in the more southern part of the Ancient Isles, which is already the most southern part of the map. If you go even farther than that down, you're kind of out of the way of everything. So you're kind of in a secluded area, not as secluded as a Devil's Roar, but Now, you're not really in a central location, so when you're in the Ancient Isles, if you want to go somewhere else, it kind of takes a while to sail over there. But yeah, it's a solid number 3 spot on this list. Coming in at the number 2 spot is the Wilds. Personally, I really like the Wilds. I like kind of its dark, gritty aesthetic. It's really nice. And also, Daggertooth Outpost is arguably the best outpost to spawn at, just because of how many barrels there are to loot. So if you just get a storage crate and start looting the barrels, you'll start with a lot of stuff. And also, I'm kind of a little bit biased to the Wilds because for whatever reason, I seem to spawn in at Galleon's Grave Outpost a lot. I actually ran a little bit of an experiment where I loaded up the game like 10 times over the course of like 3-4 days. I don't know, the last 10 times I played, I tracked what outpost I spawned in at. Galleon's Grave Outpost, I spawned in 8 out of 10 times. So for some reason, I always spawn in over there. And one of the things I like to do is spawn at Galleon's Grave and then head north to Trader's Fate Fortress, do that sea fort, which is right there, right next to Galleon's Grave. Start off with a little bit of loot and get a lot of supplies over there. And the Wilds is kind of a nice central location. There's usually a lot of stuff that kind of go on up there. There's a lot of other players I seem to encounter there, which is nice because I'm a big PvP guy. And it's just nice. It's not a huge region. It's smaller than the Ancient Isles. It's roughly the size of the Shores of Plenty. So it's just kind of a nice region. None of the islands there are too terribly far out of the way from anything. And there's a couple sea forts that are nice to do there. And yeah, it's just a solid region. I think only one region is better than that, and you've probably figured out by now which one it is. And at number 1, the best region in Sea of Thieves is the Shores of Plenty. I mean, just look at this. It's the most beautiful region, the vibrant blue water. This region makes me want to play Sea of Thieves. Just the beautiful colors and atmosphere. It's a great place to be in. This is where the most players are kind of concentrated at. I can see why. I mean, if you're going to want to do voyages, you're going to want to do them in that region. If you're going to want to do anything, you're going to want to be in that region. Port Merrick is personally my favorite outpost. I just like the aesthetic of it. I know it's kind of the most annoying one to navigate, but I just love the vibe and aesthetic of it. And not only that, it's a relatively small region, definitely compared to something like the Ancient Isles. Like, it's easier to navigate. Everything's kind of closer to each other. There's Sanctuary Outpost, which is a really nice outpost, I think, and that's kind of near the Wilds. So there's a lot of stuff to do. I like to do Legend of the Vales a lot, and I always seem to do them over there. So Crescent Isle is usually where it's at. It's on kind of the west side of that. So it's kind of nice to be away from a lot of people doing that, but also close enough to where if I want to encounter people, I can do it. Imperial Crown Fortress is really fun to do. It's near Port Merrick. So again, I'm a big Seafort guy, so it's just west of Port Merrick. Yeah, it's just a great region. There's the most players there. It's the most beautiful there. It's just the best to me. So yeah, that was my ranking on the best regions in Sea of Thieves. Every region ranked from worst to best. Let me know your guys' opinion in the comments. If you have any changes to this list or any critiques or anything that I missed, let me know. On the road to 1,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.